Utroska, is it Utroska?
That's right. Yep.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
And I know this is out of the expertise of your organization, but real quick, this is what the establishment or the education mafia cartel would call the feds on a guy like Chris Orr.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
My name is Christopher Orr, and you guys fired Gabriel Guy because y'all got caught yesterday. As people have mentioned, this guy had an Antifa flag on his wall. He had Chairman Mao on his wall. He was indoctrinating these kids every single day. He was abusing them, scaring them every single day. Where the hell was the principal?
Now, that's enough right there. That's a hate speech. That's enough to get the feds knocking on the home of Christopher Orr and scaring the hell out of him.
Yeah, because he's bringing that up.
Because he's bringing that up.
Yeah.
Which scares me because, I mean, what we do on a daily basis could be defined as hate speech. What Fox News does, or anybody who disagrees with the administration, could legally, I guess, within the parameters that they've designed, be called hate speech.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit scary.
Yeah, well, I mean, Americans for Prosperity, we don't necessarily work in this area, but we do believe in limited government, and limited government is at the local level. And so we don't need the feds coming in after you because you speak up at your local school board.
Stephen, you've been there for a couple of years now, and for people who don't know, it's just because this is the first time I think I've had you on, exactly what is AFP, American, and why was it put together, and what's the mission statement?
Yeah, so we're a national organization. We're in 35 states. So I lead the state chapter here in Mississippi. We honestly came out of almost a Tea Party movement. It's kind of when AFP started. We're mostly focused on tax and spending type issues, economic issues. We kind of, from there, get into some other things, but generally, it ties back to tax and spending or regulations. We just believe that people should be free from the government to be able to do what they want to do and, work, raise their family. And a lot of that comes back to spending. And, it's funny, I heard you before the hour, you talked about it's Pork Month, I guess National Pork Month.
Yes.
And there's a lot of pork in D.C. right now.
Oh,
I think they think it's National Pork Month as well up in D.C. So
it's a big barrel up there. In a way, to be honest with you, if you try to paint this, it's the the taxpayers lobbying group.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, we're a public interest lobbying group. Yeah. We support the look when I'm down in in the state chapter here. I mostly work on state policy, but we come together all 35 states. It's there's a reason why we're a national organization because we work on federal policy too. But I tell people all the time when I'm in Jackson under the dome, there's there may be 100 lobbyists there, and there's 2 of them like me, representing
true.
The people of Mississippi and not special interests. So.
When you look at what is going on in Washington, again, we mentioned this early on, that it looks like McConnell blinked a little bit. Nobody wants to go into default as far as the country is concerned. But somewhere down the line, somebody's got to come up with to cut back government or do something to hold in the spending.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, his blink is a short-term blink. It's just till December, so they'll suspend the debt ceiling until December. Which is really, a good play, I think, on his part. I'm with you. We've got to limit the spending somehow, and I think certainly not allowing the debt ceiling to go up is one way to do that. But you look at the market. I think the futures are up this morning almost 0.5% because of this. Yeah. Because of the McConnell actually saying, hey, well, let's push it to December. Crypto is also up this morning. I don't know if you follow Bitcoin, but Bitcoin's up to 55,000. I think it's the highest in a month or so that it's been up.
I can't keep up with it because when they have losses, they have major losses. So then they have gains. I'm not sure if they made back all their losses or where they stand.
Yeah. Crypto is certainly Bitcoin is the gold standard of crypto, but then there's what they call alternative coins or altcoins, and there's thousands of them. So it's hard to keep up with it. I'm just barely in the market, so I keep up with it just enough to kind of figure out what's going on. But I think as government debt continues to go up, crypto is something that more people are looking at, and I think that's why Bitcoin's up.
Does your national organization have lobbyists in Washington there? I mean,
we
are
do.
they pushing this? Are they contacting some of our House members and Senate members?
Yeah, we are. So
but are you having any effects at all as far as the Democrat side? You know where the Republican side stands.
Right, yeah. So we've got, so in the 35 chapters we have, West Virginia is one of them. So Manchin is certainly, our national organization has been, actually as a organization state, in the states, but nationally we've all been putting a lot of resources towards West Virginia. And then Sinema and Arizona.
You're floating his boat, so to speak.
That's right. Well, we're helping him. We help each other. So, but yeah, we have an office in Arlington, Virginia, as well. It's right outside of D.C., and so we've got some lobbyists in D.C. that work for us as well and pushing it. I talked to one of them yesterday about what she was seeing going on up there, and there's 23 working days left through the end of the year.
Is that it?
So if Pelosi wants to continue to push a reconciliation bill and the infrastructure bill, which is a $3.5 trillion and a $1.2 trillion, I think at this point, almost another $5 trillion worth of spending, she doesn't have much time to do it. Yeah. So the more we can kind of go back and forth on the debt ceiling, it's maybe a good thing.
This is I'm not sure it's corny or anything, but I see some of the guys, the Republicans, holding up this massive bill. And I mean, it's the size, and I mentioned on Facebook, size of a mini fridge.
Yeah.
There's no way people can read that. And even if they did read it, some of it you couldn't understand unless you're a lawyer in Congress, and we have a lot of people who are not lawyers in Congress. So just to vote on that is dangerous one way or the other. But I wish they would start. To me, I don't think it's making an impact with the people in this country when they see that. They've got to somehow understand that they've got to relay in an analogy that you see this is what Mary and Bob Williams in Cedar Grove are going to have to pay for, and their kids. All of these things in here. Or get it down to kitchen table level. This is not something Congress is paying for. Mitch McConnell is not going to be paying this out of his bank account. Schumer is not going to be. This is going to go to Bob and Mary and Sam and put it down on the kitchen table level. You people are going to be paying for this. Your kids are going to be paying for this. Yep. All of this is you're swiping your credit card that you don't get to use, and it's mortgaging their future.
Yeah,
somehow we got to do that.
Almost $29 trillion in debt. That's $229,000 per taxpayer.
When Joe says it ain't going to cost us a cent, run like hell.
Yeah.
Because his track record of making this as successful is going to be about the same as Afghanistan.
That's right.
What else do you need to say?
Yeah.
We'll talk more. In the studio with Stephen Utroska, who's director of AFP. Your Facebook page is what?
It's Americans for Prosperity - Mississippi, all spelled out. AFP, Americans for Prosperity - Mississippi.
Let's talk about the 2022 session. Well, let's talk about the special session. I know everybody's following that. Everybody's waiting to see what the governor's calling that. The longer that goes on, the more it's almost like Nancy Pelosi taking that vote. The longer that goes on without a call, the more I think it may not all be kumbaya in the House and Senate.
Yeah, no, I think that's right.
I'm talking about the medical marijuana bill itself.
Yep. No, I think it's been a long time for them to even get a bill that they said they've agreed on and then get up to the governor. I think the governor's had some issues with the bill as is, so they're back and forth. But I'm with you. I think the longer we go without a special session, the closer we get to 2022. And
it's a transformative piece of legislation. More so than gambling or casinos or sports betting or anything, or even the lottery.
Yeah,
it's going to affect every hometown and I'm even if you put your best thought process on in a better way. Can you tell me any state, any city that is now deep into marijuana sales, either recreational or medical, and you say they're better off financially or anywhere else?
Well, I think you got to separate medical marijuana from recreational marijuana. I think there's some states that have passed medical marijuana only. And they've controlled that and had a good, have had success with that.
What states would that be?
Well, there's 36 total states that have done it.
Not all 36 states combined. It's not all 30. It's 36 states just medical marijuana?
Well, there's 36 states that have at least medical marijuana.
At least medical marijuana.
That's right.
What's from your organizations? What do you think as far as taxes are concerned?
Yes, I mean, if you look at so there's two ways to look at it for the taxes on medical marijuana. Is one, we don't in Mississippi and most states don't tax any medical, whether it's prescription medication or medical devices. If it's given to you by your doctor, it's not taxed at all.
Yeah.
So most states though do tax medical marijuana. And so Mississippi has looked at doing that. And this bill, specifically the taxing structure in it, would put us, I think, at the top fourth or fifth top taxing state for medical marijuana. So from a taxing standpoint, it's certainly high, looking at it that way. More importantly, I think looking at taxing structure, we're a policy organization. We look at policy. A better way to tax is a single taxing structure on a product so that when a consumer goes and buys that, they know exactly what they're paying for. So we have sales tax now in Mississippi. So you go buy a product from the store, there's a sales tax on it. You pay 7%. Everybody knows when they go to the store, they're going to pay 7% on an item. The way this bill for medical marijuana is taxed is not only a 7% sales tax, but there's also a $15 per ounce excise tax on it. So for someone who's going to try to get so many, joints or so many, edibles or whatever it is, for what their doctor has, prescribed to them for that treatment, it's very difficult for them to understand how much taxes they're actually going to pay when there's the excise tax of $15 per ounce on top of the 7% sales tax.
The doctor is not going to prescribe that individually.
Right.
The doctor's not going to say, look, I want you to get the gummy bears versus the joint. He's just going to give them the right to go by and buy it.
Well, he is going to – no. On the treatment, he will put how much – there's a limit that he will put on that.
As far as THC is concerned.
Right, that's right.
But not the product itself.
Yeah, and I'm not familiar with that side of it. Yes, I can't say that. But either way, and I know there's a discrepancy between the word prescribe and treatment options or whatever. But on the taxing side of it, if I think Lee Yancey, who's a very good friend of mine, and he's chairman of the drug policy in the House, he has said that with the $15 per ounce, that comes out to about 12% taxing. At the end of the day, when you buy your products, 12%. If that's the case, we would rather see, if that's what they decide on, we'd rather just see, do a 12% tax on it, not a 7% sales tax and a $15 per ounce.
To someone who doesn't understand the excise tax, explain that a little bit.
Yes,
how that worked its way in.
Right. I mean, generally what you see an excise tax on is something they use as a sin tax almost. It's alcohol, tobacco. And so this is a medical-only program, and I think that based on the bill, they have put the necessary precautions in there and structure in there to make sure that they keep this as much as they possibly can a medical-only program. This is not, this is designed not to be recreational. This is designed to be for medical patients who have debilitating diseases. And so if that's the case and we have those structures in place, do we want to put a sin tax on top of that? So sure, we can have a sales tax to help pay for the program and to help pay for the the structure around that. But do we want to sin taxes? And I think everybody would agree with this.
So is your organization saying it should be left at 7%?
Well, I think that the better way to do it is if you have a taxing structure, is have a reasonable flat tax so that you know what it is.
Well, what's the difference between anything above 7? Even if you said 9%, then that one way or the other, that's 2% above. What's the difference if you called it an excise tax or not?
Right. Well, so the thing is for taxing policy, it's easier for the consumer if they know, it's 9% sales tax, so I'm going to pay 9%. But when they go and you start tacking on all these different types of taxes, it's very difficult for the consumer to understand exactly how much taxes they're paying.
Well, in reality, too, is this stuff is going to be, I think they'll see this when the bricks and mortar and they open the doors. This stuff is going to be unaffordable to a lot of people in the state.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think so.
They're going to find out when they walk in there that it's and they can't use their card, can they? As far as Visa card on it, or
I don't know about that. I know there's some issues with the banking, so I'm not familiar with that side of it. And there's a lot of medical treatments that people can't afford. This is, another option.
Yeah, but there's
for
no
people
insurance on this one. So that's a little bit different. There, you can't file insurance on it.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
Yeah.
People that need it and want it, they'll be able to get it.
You guys looked at the personal income tax and that debate going on?
We have, yeah. We looked at the bill back during the session this year. We did support the bill, at least in concept, early on because we wanted the conversation to get started, and we were very open in supporting the speaker and getting the bill out, and glad that he was able to push it through the House. We certainly had some amendments that we wanted to it, changed around. Again, one of the things about his bill that I would like to see changed is because it's an increase in the exemption. It's not that flat tax type decrease. It's an increase in exemption, which is changes the way it helps different people. So I would rather see a rate decrease. So we're at 5%. We're at Progressive. We have 4%, 5%. But this is really only looking at that 5%. Which is the majority of the income tax that people pay in Mississippi. So I would rather see a rate decrease of that 5% instead of a exemption increase. Yeah. It's just a much simpler way to do it. And I know that they looked at that, and they're still looking at that, so we'll see what the bill comes out in 22. But I think that's what most tax policy experts have agreed. That's a better way to do it. Is it
your sense that the Senate may be able to arrive at some type of agreement on that?
Yeah, I think so. I think at least the members of the Senate want to do something. I know Josh Harkins, I've talked with him several times, Chairman of Finance. Yeah. He wants to do something. He's open to talking, with the House of trying to come up with a compromise of what they can agree on. We'll see what leadership wants in the Senate. I keep hearing that there's, certainly leadership in the Senate wants to see Medicaid expansion, and that's.
Well, let's talk about Medicaid expansion. What's your group think about that?
Yeah, we're adamantly opposed to Medicaid expansion. The data doesn't lie. Every state that's done it, their estimates have been blown out of the water. The amount of money that it has cost the states that have expanded Medicaid has been much greater than anybody ever estimated. Yeah. Certainly state economists have estimated for those states. Louisiana, same way. They way more people than they ever imagined signed on to it.
And it's happened in just about every state, hasn't it?
Every state.
But the same thing's happened to marijuana. Somebody told me yesterday, Oklahoma, like 1 out of 10 people, 1 out of every 10 now have a certification card.
Yeah.
And the vast majority, whites, males, 35 years old. So...
The unhealthiest group, right? Is that the medical product?
Oh, they've got a lot of problems. Yeah. We are, if we broach on both of those things headlong, marijuana and Medicaid expansion, what will the state look like 10 years from now?
I don't know. It'll be tough.
Always good seeing you, sir.
You too. Thanks so much for having me.
Come back, visit us again. Stephen Utroska, who is the director of AFP. One more time on the Facebook page.
Yep, just Americans for Prosperity - Mississippi. Best place to follow us, see our post.
Yeah, go there and follow.